Guys, this is Rosemary Groner from Busy Budgeter, and today what we're talking about is how to quit your job when you kind of feel stuck. So we get probably about 20 emails a week right now with everything that's kind of going on in the world of people who, for whatever reason, just feel stuck in their job and they feel like there's no way out. Either they have a ton of school loans for their particular career, or they can't work right now because of COVID or coronavirus or all of that crazy stuff, or they're supposed to be working out of their house, but their kid's school is closed and they're trying to figure out how to work at home so that they can homeschool or help with virtual learning, or basically we call it 2020 the year that you can't win. So because of everything that's going on right now, we're getting these floods of emails. And the problem with answering these emails is that there's not one solution that applies to everybody. And we're trying to get that through. And so what I want to talk about today are the 4 things that you need to get right in order to be able to quit the job that you hate under any circumstances without risk. Okay. And we've actually been teaching this for a long time in Exit Strategy, which is a step-by-step course that teaches you how to quit any job that you hate without any risk. Now, whether that means that you want to work at home or whether or not you want to go out and work out of the home in a different career or a different job, it doesn't really matter. These are the 4 things you have to get right. So the first one is we need to get the budget straight, okay? The thing is this is the biggest factor in people that want to work from home. So you need to get your budget straight so that you have a bit of a buffer in case you come home, particularly if you're starting your own business or if you're doing your own thing. You need to have a buffer so that there's as little risk as possible. It's called the backup plan to the backup plan. And particularly if you're trying to work from home right now, we use something called the happiness factor, right? So we have seen over and over again where if we tell people, if you do X, Y, and Z, and you can reduce your budget to this, and you can live on this by this date, then you can quit your job and come home and switch to this job. All of a sudden, people that haven't been able to successfully budget for years are like on the rice and beans budget. They're like doing it. They've got it under control. And it's called the happiness factor. It's because I gave them a way to get the thing that they want by doing the thing that they should do, right? And that's called working with your personality. It's how to find motivation when you don't have willpower. And that was a factor in my story because when I was working crazy hours and I had no skills to get any other job, or that's what I felt like. I felt like there was no way that my skills transferred anywhere else. I had been shotgunning applications everywhere for months and was constantly rejected, which just kind of like fed into the whole cycle of I'm unemployable anywhere else. I'm stuck here. So I would talk to my husband about like, well, I really just want to be a stay-at-home mom because I was pregnant at the time. And that was laughable because he's like, we can't stick to a budget on 2 salaries. Why in the world do you think that we would be able to stick to a budget on 1 salary? Which, I mean, is a good logical point. But what I did was I started working with my personality and I said, fine, you know what? If that's how I needed to get what I want, then I'm going to do it. And that's called the happiness factor. It means that you're going to do what you want to do anyway, right? And what we're doing is we're giving you a way to win. If you can set up this after budget, if you can set up this way for you to live within a certain amount of money and for you to save a certain amount of money by a set date that's not super far off in the future, then you get to pursue your dreams and you get to be happy. And it's an incredible motivator. Now, if you are transferring from your current job to another job that's outside of the house or to a job from home that pays very similar, not a lot of thought needs to go into it. It's not really a big deal. Whether if you make the same amount and it's a stable-ish job, meaning that you're working for someone else. I mean, something could always happen no matter what. If you're working for someone else, it doesn't really matter necessarily if you get your budget under control because you're trading same for same. You still need to get your budget under control, but if you're trading same from same, you're not in any worse of a position. You're probably in a better position because at least from home, you're saving a little bit of money on like career wardrobe and eating out and things like that. Less impulse purchasing because you're out and about less, things like that. Now, budgeting is all great, right? But that's not going to help you get into a job that you're thrilled with. And the next thing that comes into play is your personality. You have got to have a personality that works with your career, that works with your job. So if your job is constantly at odds with your personality, it's a little bit like trying to shove a round peg into a square hole. It's just not going to fit. Everybody ends up frustrated and it just doesn't work. And we've seen when I've worked with people that a lot of people are seen as problem employees, right? They're not great workers. They're not very well motivated. Like, they're not really the stars of their industry. And what ends up happening almost always is that it's not the person that's the problem, it's the fit that's a problem. When you get that person out of that situation and you put them in a job where their personality thrives, it's like an instantaneous match and it gets so much better for everyone. And all of a sudden that person is a star employee. And it's not that they weren't before, it's just that they were not, it's like trying to have a fish climb a tree. Like, fish is never going to be the number one tree climber, but if you put him in the water, look at that, number one. It's the same sort of thing. So we go through personality testing and we go through all of your personality testing, including entrepreneur, and we try to figure out what are the things that you have a natural aptitude for? What are the things that you do better than everybody else without training? And that we do that for a couple of reasons. One is because when you're in a job that works with your personality, work doesn't feel like work. It excites you. Like you end up coming home and thinking about work, and you end up kind of wanting to work a little extra, and you just love your job. But the second thing is that when people feel stuck, what usually ends up happening is that, particularly with the ones that want to work at home, they're going to hear somebody go like, "Oh, do you want to sell Avon?" Or, "Oh, you should start a blog. My cousin Susie starts a blog and she makes a lot of money." And then these opportunities that have just fallen in their lap, people are like, "Oh, that's the secret. That's how you work at home. I need to do that." When that's not true at all. There's thousands of ways that you can work at home. And the way that's going to work best for you is very likely not going to land in your lap at the perfect time. It's really more likely going to be the one that you strategically go out and find, and you know that it's right for your personality. So what happens in those situations is people usually get their hopes up, and when it doesn't work out, it's one more thing that tells them, well, clearly I'm stuck here because this is never going to work out. When you look for jobs that meet your natural personality, and we really focus on that natural aptitude, it means that to get you out of the job that you hate, we don't really need to spend a ton of time on, or a ton of risk on, like a new degree or tons of education or tons of skill-based training, because usually you having the natural aptitude means that if we need to get the skills, it's something you can either do on your own, DIY it, or it's something that you can be trained on the job. Now, because of this, it means that our risk of going after these jobs are a lot lower. And it also means that if you end up deciding that you want to work for someone else, like you're actually submitting applications to another company, it's even better, because most applicants are doing what I was doing back in the old day, which is just shotgunning applications to anybody that would take them, completely unpersonalized. And when you do it this way, we are targeting very specific applications for very few jobs that you are a perfect fit for. So your employer is basically looking through this giant pile of applicants for someone with your natural aptitude and your personality. And we teach you how to be like, here's exactly what you're looking for. So you're a natural shoo-in. Now, it also means that you don't have to spend a ton of money on training because, again, it's a natural aptitude or an interest. So it's something that you can do on your own. Now, all of that is great, but we also need to take into consideration that you're going to have unique needs that have to be dealt with as well, meaning that everybody has unique needs that their job needs to support their lifestyle, right? So coronavirus, homeschooling kids, if that's one of your needs, you need to be there to help with the virtual learning. You need to have enough hours available in your day to figure out how to do this. It could also mean that your husband's willing to virtual learn, or you've got them in a solution to help them virtual learn, and you just need to get out of the house. You need to be with people. You don't want to be in your home ever again. That's okay too. That's a unique lifestyle need. And that might also change down the road. It could also mean more serious things, like if you have a child with a severe medical disability and you've got 5 appointments a week for all of that stuff that has to go with that, that is a unique need that your job needs to support and work around. ADHD is a really popular one, or fibromyalgia is a really popular one with our communities because both of them, ADHD is something that is a superpower in some circumstances, and in others, not such a superpower. So same thing with fibromyalgia. These people are incredibly talented, incredibly amazing, but they aren't always able to meet the deadlines of other people because they have a medical disability. So they may have a bad pain day and they're not able to get out of bed, or they're not able to focus, but the other days they're fine. So they really need something that works around that life. So those are your unique needs. Now, those are really more requirements, but it could also be things that just support the lifestyle that you want to have. Like people who RV full time and they're like, we just want to travel the world, man. Like we just want to go out and do it. Like that's a lifestyle need that your job should support if that's what your goal is. Could also be homeschooling full time. And it could also be, one of my favorite ones was a reader who was like, I want to wake up every single day and I want to drink chai tea on my back porch in my perfectly silent house. And then I want to come inside and do yoga for an hour before I start my workday. And as ridiculous as that may sound to some of us, like that's exactly what she wanted. That's exactly what she got. So the knowing what you want your life to look like is a huge part of this. And then once you have that, we kind of go through this massive giant list of jobs. There's algorithms that kind of figure out what's going to actually work for you to make it a lot easier. But we look at all of these things that you're going to be fantastic at, and we figure out which of these are the easiest path to get. So some of those, and this is where blogging comes up a lot, where people are like, oh no, I know that I want to be a blogger. Well, blogging usually takes a lot longer to be able to quit your job than something easier. Just for an example, like a virtual assistant, that's for someone that wants to work for home from themselves. So the thing that people don't realize is that they don't really want to be a blogger. They just want to be able to quit their job, make a full-time income from home, and be happy. They don't really care what the title is. If it's working for another company, if it's got the title of blogger, if it's got the title of VA, they don't care about the title. They just want to be home, working, and happy. And those are for the people that want to work at home. There's tons of people that are like, I don't want to work at home at all. Like, I want to be whatever it is they want to be. And it's important to understand that when we do this the right way, and we're going to end up with 3 jobs that all meet all of your needs, all of your unique needs, that meet your unique personality, that you have the natural aptitude to thrive in. And then we're going to pick one that's going to be the easiest for you to get as quickly as possible. And when we do that, it makes it so that it's very, very difficult to fail at this, even if you're the type of person that has low follow through. So once we do that, we step out the path of how to get this exact job. What skills do you need? What do you need to excel at? What do you need to say on applications if we're submitting applications? How do we do this with the best results with the bare minimum effort? And we've been pretty successful at this. So if this is something that you want to take a deep dive into, we have a step-by-step comprehensive course called Exit Strategy, How to Quit the Job You Hate, even if you live paycheck to paycheck without risk. And I'm going to leave the link below, but you can also feel free to leave questions. You can also email me at rosemary@busybudgeter.com if that helps. But either way, I am super, super excited to see what you do with this.